Joining us now in what we like to call Studio C are Robert and Nikki, and we're going to be talking about the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Welcome to the show. How are you both?
Good, thank you.
Great, Donna.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us here.
Good. It is a group that's near and dear to my heart. My husband had passed away from colon cancer, but all of those things that are involved in that part of your body are sometimes related, some of the same types of physicians. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation New York chapter takes steps. So, Robert, what is your involvement this year with that?
Sure. This year I'm honored to be the corporate chair for fundraising for Take Steps. And it's been wonderful so far in terms of the outreach and getting everyone involved.
And Nikki, your position this year?
So I am the president of the Board of Trustees for the Long Island chapter. I also facilitate a parent support group, and I volunteer wherever needed in the chapter.
Now, you have a relationship that you share, your
Yes.
husband and wife.
Yes.
So same last name. And your children, you have 4 children.
Yes.
And the reason you have this advocacy for this group is that some of your children have been diagnosed with it. When did you first become aware of this, and how did you get involved in the early days?
So I actually grew up with the disease. My mother had it most of my childhood and adulthood, and so I was aware of Crohn's disease, but not to the extent that I am now. When my second son was 8 years old, he started becoming inexplicably ill, and we didn't know what it was. It never even occurred to me it could be Crohn's. And then we took him to the GI, and he was immediately, like, just on examination, he said, "I know this is Crohn's disease." And it just was devastating for me. And I was very fortunate that when he came out of his initial testing, the doctor handed me a folder with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation on it. And in it were names of people. When I went to his elementary school, he was 8 years old, to hand the nurse like this bag of pills for him, she said, "We have another parent in the school whose son has Crohn's. And can I exchange information?" And turned out she was part of the foundation, and she invited me to a parent support group the very next month after my son was diagnosed, and it's been 18 years. And
Wow.
Yeah.
So congratulations to both of you for all that you've done in terms of raising awareness
Thank
and
you.
funding, because the research, I believe they've had some really great breakthroughs for the last several years,
Yes.
which is helpful. And besides that one child, you have other children. Rob, would you like to talk about the other children?
Sure. So, out of our 4 sons, 3 of them have been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And luckily, they're all doing well with their various courses of treatment. So we're very thankful for that. And that's due to the work of the foundation and the fundraising that's really contributed towards the medical research being done.
Now, Take Steps, I think, is fantastic, because Take Steps, you put together teams. It's a lot of fun. I've been to several of their walks. I've emceed them. I've sang the national anthem. One time I sang the national anthem, and for whatever reason, I was like slightly off key, because I really can sing, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite song. But nobody seemed to mind. But rain or shine, it seems like we've all been there for these,
Yes.
Take Steps. When is it happening this particular year? Is it early May, right?
So this year it's May 1st at Belmont State Lake Park. And it's, I think it'll be great no matter what the weather. We've seen the different weather, and people always show up, which is great.
They do. They're proud. They wear their colors, right? And there's like a chant and a cheer,
Yes,
and then a countdown. And so not all walks are created the same. Somebody can do a fundraising walk, but there's something I think kind of special about Take Steps here in Long Island. Nikki, so your process this year, how can people best get involved?
Well, I always say just show up, honestly. But the best way is to go to the Take Steps website, and you can access that through our Crohn's and Colitis website, which is crohnscolitisfoundation.org. And you can link through to find the Take Steps website through there. Join a team, start a team, or just show up. It's honestly, for me, Take Steps is the easiest way to get involved in the foundation, because it does not take a lot. Some people will say, "Oh, well, I can't afford to do this," or "I can't afford." This doesn't cost anything. Just show up. Start a team. Invite your friends to come. And that's how we started it. It was a way for my son to meet other kids who are going through the same things that he was going through, because he was very isolated. He did feel very alone. Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. And it's, you know, we talk about diseases in terms of what's like acceptable to talk about, and sexy disease. This is not a sexy disease.
No.
This is an embarrassing disease that kids hide in a closet and don't want to share about. So when we go to the walk and we see all of these families and all of these kids, and they're happy and they're smiling, they're having a good time and they're connecting and they're finding their community.
They find solutions too to like some issues that they might have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, maybe I carry these wipes, or maybe I eat at a certain time of day so that if I do need to use the bathroom, I know where the closest bathroom is. Crohn's, for the audience members that don't know what Crohn's and colitis is, Robert, can you talk about some of the symptoms, or just talk about what it affects, how it affects the interior of the, of your body?
It can
So, yeah.
Right. It impacts
Okay.
the intestines down to colon. It's in various areas, and it's so personal because even for our boys, it's impacted each one in a different way and in a different part of their body in terms of their intestine.
Okay.
So I think it's that's what makes it tougher to find a cure, and I think that's why Nikki was talking quite a bit about children being affected, but it's also an adult disease, and it continues on. There is no cure that's been found, so there's treatment so people can feel better. Yet there, it's still that non-sexiness part of the disease, which is when does somebody have to go to the bathroom when it's unknown.
Right. Well, it's kind of, I equate this, and because I don't have Crohn's or colitis, but the way that it's explained to me is, in a way, when someone gets like a canker sore or something, or bites the side of their cheek, that inner lining, that's what it feels like, but it's going on in the inside of your body. Like it's a little tiny, like lining issue where there's like an ulcer or a laceration, or like a something, like a degeneration, right, of your intestinal walls. Well, I mean, that's kind of technical, and I know I'm no doctor, but basically, so it has to do with that, correct?
Well, neither Rob nor I have Crohn's, thankfully. Okay. So we can't speak to the pain. I can only speak to the pain that my children have experienced.
Okay.
One in particular, he's really suffered tremendously with it, and he just likens it to just like somebody squeezing the inside of his body.
Okay. So it's more contractional type of feel.
Yeah, and on top of what Rob had talked about, Crohn's can go from your mouth throughout your entire intestinal tract.
Now that I did not know.
Yes, and also Crohn's can have extra intestinal manifestations. So you could get eye infections. You can have sores on your skin. You can have joint pain that feels almost like a rheumatoid arthritis type of a thing.
Guys, I didn't know that.
All related to flaring and Crohn's.
Okay.
The medications that are used now to treat it, the biologics and other medications, which primarily have been funded by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, the research and development, have really made tremendous strides in giving people back their quality of life.
That's good to know, and thank you for that, because even though I feel like I'm so involved, there's always more to learn. That's the other reason, is like the media partner that I try to be, is that I wanted to have you on, because I think sometimes at the walk it's great, but everybody's busy and there's a lot of activity going on. I appreciate you guys just coming in and having this heartfelt message so that the audience can also learn more. And like you said, for others that might be suffering these symptoms that aren't diagnosed, maybe they should go to a gastroenterologist.
Absolutely.
And maybe that might be what's happening for them. They just don't know. So awareness and fundraising, I think, are what we could take power of right now.
Can I just say that in addition to Crohn's, ulcerative colitis is also part of inflammatory bowel disease. And it's a little bit different in the body. It primarily is diagnosed between 15 and 35, so a little bit older, and it affects strictly the colon.
Okay.
So they consider it curable because you can remove the colon and then you're essentially cured, whereas in Crohn's you can't.
Okay.
So, but they are just as devastating as as Crohn's disease can be too.
And IBD too, right? Irritable
Well,
bowel
IBD
syndrome.
is
That's the
is the
small
umbrella.
Okay.
Inflammatory bowel disease.
Yes.
It encompasses Crohn's and ulcerative colitis.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. And I'll be ready to do the countdown with you guys too. 10, 9, 8, 7.
That's great.
Yes,
So,
we're excited.
Thank you very much. If you need more information, please reach out to the website. There are definitely articles there, resource guide. You're not alone. And we wish you and your entire family the best of health. Thank you.